Hi, audience. It's Resa dropping in with a little bit about today's minicast. It's NPSA, that's National Physician Suicide Awareness Day. I'm an ambassador for the Dr. Lorna Breen Heroes Foundation, whose mission is fighting for the professional well-being and mental health of healthcare workers and helping advocate for a world where seeking mental health services is universally seen as a sign of strength. Lorna was an emergency medicine colleague and friend, and I'm committed to honoring her life. Corey and Jennifer Feist and their team have been relentless in working to change the culture of healthcare. Today's episode contains discussions about mental health crises among healthcare workers, postpartum depression, and perfectionism. These are serious topics that affect real lives. If you or someone you know is struggling, please reach out. The National Suicide Prevention Lifeline is 988. Now let's get to the episode. This is the Visible Voices minicast. I'm your host, Dr. Resa E. Lewis. And you may recall that a minicast is simply a shorter episode focused on a specific topic. And that topic for 2025 is coaching. I'm here with Dr. Amna Shabbir. Amna is a dual board certified, that's internal medicine and geriatric medicine physician. She has advanced training in integrative well-being performance and behavior change. She's the host of the Success Reimagined podcast, and she recently delivered a TEDx talk. Amna says, quote, I help mission-driven leaders create lasting change that honors our complexity and supports high performance without sacrificing our health. I love that. Amna, welcome to the Visible Voices minicast.
Delighted to be here, Resa.
Okay, perfectionism has a solution. It's not what you think. So this was more than the title of your TEDx and rally. It was the culmination of years of lived experience, research, education, and many conversations with high achievers who quietly carry this weight of perfectionism. Isn't there an element of self-selection that we ourselves put ourselves in these places?
This conversation is sort of incomplete without understanding the three different types of perfectionism. The first type is self-oriented. I must be perfect, which is what we say, which is what you're referring to. Yes, there is that intrinsic striving. The second type is other-oriented, where I expect everyone around me to be perfect, which is what we see on display when we have our attendings that have very specific requirements. And then the third element is socially prescribed perfectionism, in which we feel that the whole world demands perfection from us, even strangers online, everyone around us. And as we examine perfectionism, all three types of perfectionism are rising. And when we look at physicians, they are exposed to all three types of perfectionism. So yes, there's that internal drive. There's the drive that is imposed on us by our parents, our teachers, society at large.
Yeah, wow. So good. As you know, I ask all coaches who join me on the Visible Voices podcast, like, what's one word, just one word, that is the thread that kind of ties many of the clients, many of the conversations. And I think for you, correct me if I'm wrong, it's perfectionism.
It really is.
Yeah. Take us through your process, your aha moment, maybe even your traumatic episode that made you say, you know what, I'm going to be not just a clinician, I want to be a coach. I want to work with people to help them.
I was the classic story that you've heard over and over again of the good girl syndrome, where you're perfect and you just show up to work and you're very professional, excellent grades all the way through all of medical education, team player, decorated resident, decorated fellow. When I look back at my life, the one theme that connected every event, and there are multiple events. I know we talk about one aha events. I've had multiple, but the common thread for every event was the fact that I had this understanding I have to be perfect to the outside world. I have to be flawless, whether it was not seeking care in the beginning of my severe postpartum depression, whether it was not seeking care for burnout or moral injury, whether it was any big or small event in my life, there was this understanding that I had that no matter what happens on the inside to the outside world, you must look put together. And that's what drew me to perfectionism.
Did you become the coach that you needed?
I believe so. When I look back I've had a very specific soft spot for early career physicians, and that's why I founded the Early Career Physicians Institute. All of this was at its peak in the first couple of years after medical training ended. So between my residency and fellowship, I worked for full-time primary care. And when I practiced primary care in the traditional medical system, although I loved it, I loved every bit of it, I was not prepared. So I realized that there are very specific things that early career physicians need to be equipped with that we were not. And when you actually equip them, they can have better communication skills, confidence skills, and so much more. And the perfectionism at that point is so much worse because you want to be perfect, that your imposter is roaring, but you can't seek help because then everyone will know you're a fraud.
Yeah, or you're weak.
You're
You and
weak.
I share that we are Dr. Lorna Breen Heroes Foundation ambassadors. We're part of the ambassador program. And you've mentioned a few times your postpartum depression. I'm wondering if you can share more with the audience.
I think that I'll just go back to the moment where I lied. I lied so heavily. And when I say I lied, I was in my doctor's office and they hand me the PHQ-9 and I look down at it.
What's the PHQ?
It's the depression screening. And I'm sitting on the couch. Every answer needs to be nearly every day. And I choose not at all, not at all. For every question, are you feeling anxious, down, depressed? Have you had thoughts of hurting yourself? Anything. I just go on and check not at all of them, because I felt that if I checked and I wrote the honest truth, it will come back and it would haunt me on my medical license. It would haunt me in so many different ways. There's social cultural impact. All of it was packed together with perfectionism. So now as an ambassador, fast forward, I feel that I have a voice and purpose that I really didn't at that time. And if I can help even one human feel less alone, and that they know their legal rights and that they can advocate for themselves and they can take that medicine and not lie on their PHQ-9, I would rather do that.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing that. So, what does it look like to work with you as a coach?
A lot of times these days, you'll hear these narratives. Here's a quick fix. You will do these 3 things. And I don't like prescriptive elements of healing and well-being. I think that we have tried to dumb down healing. Sometimes we'll squeeze it into frameworks. While frameworks are great and they guide my practice as well, the first part is I really like to break everything down on a personal level to what's happening for that human in their specific current situation, and then kind of explore further. I like to make things tangible and practical after exploring really in depth what current issues are. For example, for perfectionism, a lot of times the core element of why all of this is happening is discrepancy. And when we look at this scoring system of the almost perfect scale, I really like that name, almost perfect scale. It's not the fact that we have this desire for excellence. I like to use the word excellencism. It's not a formal word yet, but excellencism over perfectionism. And so when you break that down, it's not the fact that I want to be the best in everything that I do. I want you to be the best at everything you do. It's what happens when you're not, when you try your best. And that's the discrepancy. How do you handle failure or rejection? And so a lot of times when I'm working with my clients, we'll pick the core thought, which usually circles around when I fall down, this is what happens. And the beautiful thing with coaching is that all the blind spots that we can't see, and that includes myself. I am a coach, but I do have a coach. You can hold up the mirror and then work through that. So that's my philosophy.
Yeah. And when you hold that mirror up, what is a common reaction in your clients?
There's this huge relief that follows when you realize that you're not inherently broken. As much as one of the things that I talk about with perfectionism, and I also talk about this in my TED Talk, is how we're just so programmed by society to find out all the things that are wrong with us, from our physical appearance to our grades to everything. So when you hold up the mirror and you realize truly everything that you had wanted to fix really didn't need to be fixed in the first place. Now, when I say this out loud without anyone being in a one-on-one setting to me, I risk the fact that some people will say that I'm telling them to lower their standards. I'm telling them to just relax on the couch. This is anything but that. When I'm working with everyone, it's about how can you make success sustainable truly? How can you not sacrifice your ambition and yet have well-being? The two can coexist.
Yeah. I love that. And the phrase that kept coming to mind as you were speaking is physician, heal thyself. And we take care of people who have illness, who are sick. And you express that we ourselves worry, wonder, am I sick? Do I have an illness? So in general, how do clients find you?
I am hanging out a lot on LinkedIn, so you can find me there with my first and last name. I also would love for you to listen to my podcast, which will give you an idea a little bit about conversations to listen into. Success Reimagined with Amna Shabbir, MD. And yeah, I'm also on all the other social media platforms.
Yeah. What's one book? If there were one book that people listening to us or people watching us were like, I wonder if there's a book on perfectionism or something I can read to understand a little bit more about what Dr. Shabbir is talking about, what would you suggest?
This is a really tough one for me because I love books so much.
Same.
I will go with Meditations for Mortals by Oliver Burkeman.
Okay. And why that book?
Because it really challenges that narrative. When you read a book and all these prescriptive self-help books, our gut is, I'm going to go and just do that thing. I'm going to try and apply it. But the perfect moment never arrives. That perfect moment to implement that entire framework never arrives.
What about the people that actually feel like, I'm doing okay and work's okay, and I don't feel like a failure. I don't feel like I'm too much of a perfectionist. Why might coaching actually be a good idea for those people too?
I think at the end of the day, we have to look at what we want from this truly amazing, beautiful life of ours. Where do you want to take this life to? Everyone who has achieved some level of excellence, and whether it is excellence in rest, because I think that's a whole different norm that we need to normalize, I invite you to ask yourself, what do you want from your life? If you want something amazing, and whether that is rediscovering how to connect with your own family, your own body, your own ways of resting, investing in working with somebody who's a professional who can just ease that burden, help you brainstorm, help you create that blueprint for that life is amazing. I have worked myself with different coaches, whether it was for my TEDx talk, whether it was in another capacity. And truly, every time I have worked with my coach or coaches, I have unlocked a whole different level of thinking, of possibility. And so it's not just that you have to be miserable and get better. It's about, it truly is, I am fine. I am great. How can I excel and take this to the next level?
Yeah, I love that. And that is a great note to end on. Dr. Amna Shabbir, thank you so much for joining me on this episode of the Visible Voices minicast.
Thank you, Resa.
The Visible Voices podcast amplifies voices in the healthcare, equity, and current trend spaces. Our team includes Dr. Giuliano DePortu and me, Dr. Resa E. Lewis. Find me at Resa E. Lewis MD on social media or visit thevisiblevoicespodcast.com. Find us wherever you listen to podcasts and watch our episodes on YouTube. This podcast is for education and entertainment purposes only. The views and opinions expressed by our hosts and guests are their own and do not reflect the opinions of their institutions. Information shared here should never substitute for clinical judgment or for medical advice. Together, we're making healthcare more equitable, one visible voice at a time.